No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for all those joining us on all our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. That's an inside joke between Dave Ezra and myself, with Dave Minuk in the top right, with Ezra Ginsburg in the bottom middle. I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to talk about yet another Winnipeg Jets victory. This one by a 5-2 margin on the road against the St. Louis Blues. Timely goaltending, timely goals, and a lack thereof from the St. Louis Blues is the difference in tonight's contest, leading the Jets to a 17-7-1 record. Regardless of what happens between the Dallas Stars and the Ottawa Senators, the Jets will remain in first place in the Central Division. Gentlemen, good to see you both. Ezra, you're looking resplendent tonight. I have to say, the hair almost seems like it has an extra shine to it. Am I correct in that? Is there maybe a visit to a hairdresser, or maybe a little bit of product in the hair? What's going on there tonight, Ezzy?
No, nothing like that, but I appreciate it. I'll take the comment. The Jets have the best goaltender on planet Earth right now, boys. That's essentially what this game's going to come down to. I agree with you, Drew. When Thomas Greiss lets in a goal like that, and it's kind of weird, guys. I don't know if you caught this, but it was the exact same spot that Robert Thomas scored on Connor Hellebuyck. Blocker side, right, kind of low. And I realized that on originally watching it, I couldn't tell that Lowry's stick got a piece of it. But I think I'm talking about, obviously, Robert Thomas's goal there. But Connor Hellebuyck was just sensational. I feel like we could, name 7 or 8 grade A saves that he made. And it was just incredible to watch. I mean, he just continues to amaze. So, yeah, the Jets, the score flatters, I think, the Jets. But it was timely goal scoring. And, that's a big win. They keep the streak going. 3-game winning streak here. And yeah, I mean, it's just, to me, it's just all Connor Hellebuyck right now. I'm not taking anything away from the Jets players and the goal scoring that they got, but Hellebuyck was amazing again tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it is getting a little repetitive, and it is getting a little bit broken record. And it sort of seems like we're giving the game short shrift when our analysis game in and game out seems to largely be opportunistic goal scoring and Connor Hellebuyck. But that's the Jets' MO. I mean, we've seen it so many times this year. We've seen it so many times for the last number of years, Dave M. But truly, that's what you see tonight. You see the Jets getting better goaltending than the opposition. You see, I mean, look, Greiss cannot let in that Dubois goal, especially given how the third period was being played to that point in time. The Jets were on their heels in that third period. St. Louis, has a respectable offense. It's not like a 2-goal lead is insurmountable by any stretch of the imagination, Dave. So when Greiss gives up that goal, it's just an absolute killer. And how often does Connor Hellebuyck give up that kind of back-breaking goal? It happens so rarely that I can't really remember one of them this year. And when you have that confidence in your goalie, and you're scoring at the rate the Jets have been scoring at over the last half a dozen games, when you're popping in 3, 4, 5 goals a game, well, it's no wonder that your record was 6 of the last 7 they've had victories in, and it's no wonder your record 17-7-1 on the season.
And they have 33 goals during that time, Drew. So, I mean, the Jets are scoring. It's one thing they weren't doing early in the season. Their goal differential wasn't significant, but now they've increased it. I think they're probably plus 18. So I've added another 4.
21.
Yeah. Was it?
It was plus 18, and now they won
I
by
thought
3 goals.
I thought it was 5-1. You're right. So yeah, so you got a plus 21 goal differential. And the fact is that you're feeling good about yourself, because as he said, and he's 100% right, Connor Hellebuyck, guys, looks like the Vezina winner right now. I mean, and we know that this is 25 games into the season, and there's still long. We got a lot of post games to go, so we're not going to declare anything.
A lot of post games to go this month.
Yes, exactly. Actually, this week, Drew. So the truth is, it's not a function of saying that, but yeah, he has been phenomenal. And the difference in the game, if you want to just kind of encapsulate it quickly or easily, is early in the second period, Kyle Connor scores a goal. Early in the third period, Ryan O'Reilly has a very similar chance, and he doesn't score. And that, to me, was the difference, right? Because that Kyle Connor goal, it's only a 1-0 game at that point. St. Louis, even though the analytics didn't really support St. Louis and they didn't have a ton in the first period, they still maintained a lot of pressure on that first. And so it could have really gone either way. But Hellebuyck, 10 for 10 in saves and looked like he was going to be the difference in the game. They come out, the Jets score that Kyle Connor goal, and Kyle Connor's a sniper. He is what he is. But St. Louis can't do that because that very easily could have turned the tide in a 3-1 game, especially given the fact that St. Louis had scored late in that second. So, that would have allowed them to really change the momentum in the game. Of course, it doesn't. And what ends up happening is Winnipeg just builds and eventually comes up with another win.
Yeah, I mean, it's timeliness that have been excelling in, yet again, game in and game out. Now, obviously, there's some negatives in tonight's game, and you have on the negative side of the ledger with the injury to Saku Maanalainen, because it did look, when a guy like that is, the shoulder sort of dangling, it's never a good sign. It screams, and I'm not a doctor, I just play one on YouTube. It screams, shoulder separation, shoulder dislocation, whatever it might be. It screams shoulder injury. We're not going to speculate wildly as to what it is, but it certainly seems like that will necessitate a juggling of the Jets roster, which is something that we've really seen a lot of from Rick Bowness, especially when it comes to the bottom six of the lineup. As he's not afraid just to sort of cycle guys in and out, keep everyone getting a little bit of playing time, keep that compete level high with Maanalainen. And obviously we'll have to see more. Will he hear more and we'll see more? I wouldn't expect him to play tomorrow night in Chicago, but again, that's just speculation at this point. But it's almost like a little bit of that adversity might not be a bad thing for this Jets team, the way they've been performing as of late.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. They've dealt with adversity / injuries really well so far this year, with Nikolai Ehlers being right at the top of that list, right? But yeah, that did not look good with Maanalainen, and I think we've all seen similar plays like that in hockey before, where you can tell that most likely that's going to mean he's going to miss a few games, right? So good for Jansen Harkins to get back into the lineup. He had that good scoring chance earlier in the game. You could tell that he thought that one was going to go in. So I thought he was good. He was he was actually even 15 minutes of ice time. So he probably played a little bit more than we thought, but Maanalainen's injury obviously elevated Harkins, right? So I agree. And, Logan Stanley comes in, and not only does he get an assist on the first goal, but he played pretty well. Like, for a guy who hasn't played a lot, and we weren't sure if Dylan DeMello was going to play in this game. So, it goes back to what I said, though. Like, I think that, you saw a little bit too much of the Jets giving up too many shots and relying on Hellebuyck. Like, we talked about the Ryan O'Reilly scoring chance earlier in the third, but you had Jordan Kyrou, who had the good scoring chance. You had Ivan Barbashev. Barbashev had a really good scoring chance on the power play in the first period at point blank range. He had a really good save on Justin Falk that he made look easy. It was a glove save. So I thought that, Hellebuyck was just really the reason why Dubois' goal was able to happen and have that impact, right? Meaning that it was to put the Jets up 3 goals instead of maybe, the Blues tying the game up. So, it was, I think, a really impressive effort with, down a man, but I don't think Rick Bowness is going to like the way they played defensively that much in the third period.
I would agree with that comment. The Jets were certainly on their heels from maybe the last few minutes of the second period. And, and again, they can sort of get away with it largely because of Connor Hellebuyck. But that third period, the ice was definitely tilted in the favor of the St. Louis Blues for a significant chunk of it. And you sort of thought that, with it being 3-1 at that point until Dubois scored the goal, you were sort of waiting for that, St. Louis to keep coming and eventually cut it into a one goal game, because they were putting that much pressure on the Jets, and they were all around the blue paint, and the pucks were sort of just squeezing by far posts, or Hellebuyck was making enough of the save to keep it out. But the Jets certainly, I think, playing with a little bit of fire there. And Dave, I think that's maybe something they're still working on, is how to. They've been pretty good. I mean, the Carolina game notwithstanding, and the weirdness of that Dallas game notwithstanding, as of late, they've been pretty good at maintaining that lead. But at the same time, there's also been moments where it's getting a little bit iffy and getting a little bit nerve-wracking as they're trying to maintain that lead. So I think they're still learning about how to really even shut it down more so than just simply relying on Connor Hellebuyck to be as good as he is.
Well, I mean, there's a part of me that says it's good that they're not sitting back, and they're still attacking in that third period. And you like to see, the Jets not rest on their laurels, because how many times do we see a team kind of sit back, and try and protect something, and then it ends up burning them because the other team is pushing, and eventually it's, there leads to breakdown. So I actually don't mind that the Jets were, still thinking attack a little bit, because you're right, Drew. And as he said it earlier, the Blues can still score. They can still burn you. They got a lot of talent. So the reality is that you can't really afford to just sit back and hope that Connor Hellebuyck is going to just continue to play otherworldly. What you need to do is to be able to, the one thing I want to point out though, and I really like, is finally, when you're trying to protect the lead, you got a 2-goal lead, in the third period late, putting a guy like David Gustafsson out there once again. I mean, he doesn't have a goal this season, and it looked, he was really moving. He looked like he was really trying to create an opportunity for him to score one today, but he doesn't get an assist on the empty net goal. I don't believe he did. I think he got the third assist.
He didn't.
As our friend Craig Button likes to talk about it. But what an important play, right? Protects the puck, doesn't do something stupid, and ensures that gets it to his teammate that can at least facilitate getting that puck out of the zone. I just think that's what you want to see from Rick Bowness, is using a guy like David Gustafsson with less than 2 minutes to go in a game, because he is going to be a guy who's going to protect that lead for your team. So I like to see him. And again, he had another fantastic game, even though, again, it's limited in terms of points.
Well, again, it doesn't show up on the score sheet, to your point, Dave. But David Gustafsson is just so essential for this team because of how good he is at the things that aren't obvious, unless you're watching for them, unless you're looking for them. He just is he kills the opposition's plays.
Yeah.
And I mean, that kind of player is worth their weight in gold. It won't show up on the score sheet, but again, everybody who's watching tape, every coach who's looking at that knows that Gustafsson is just a shutdown guy that the Jets have not had. I mean, Adam Lowry sort of gets the reputation of being the Jets' best defensive center, but it's Gustafsson now. I mean, he is just so good and so smart in the Jets' own zone that it's like having it's not like having another goaltender. That's not the right analogy. It's just like having an eliminator out there. It's just a guy who eliminates the opposition's plays and allows the Jets to move in transition, or just to, it's like having an ace in baseball. If your team's struggling, if your bullpen's struggling, you throw your ace out there and he's going to go give you 8 innings of shutout ball. If you're struggling and you're on your heels and you're stuck in your own zone, you throw Gustafsson out there and he's going to at least, turn the play around, and he's going to at least get alleviate some of the pressure and allow your team to, maybe recalibrate themselves. It's just so essential for the Jets, Ezzy.
Yeah, and he was good tonight, and as Dave said, that's why he was out there late in the game, right? When it matters the most. So, he's been reliable, and even though he doesn't have a goal, it's going to come. We know it's going to come.
Oh, there's no question it's going to come. I mean, and not only was Gustafsson out there, I don't think that we can overlook the fact, and we'll talk about it when we get into the Betway game recap here in a minute or two. I don't think you can overlook the fact that Cole Perfetti is on the ice in that situation, Dave, with, under 2 minutes to go. And yeah, you have a 2-goal lead, but it's still an empty net situation. If you can't trust that player, if Rick Bowness can't trust Cole Perfetti, he's not getting that ice time there. Obviously, Bowness has the trust in Perfetti, seeing enough in growth in Perfetti's game that he knows that Perfetti over the boards in that situation is not going to be a detriment to the team. It's going to be an asset to the team. And I'd say that even if he didn't end up scoring in that situation, just the fact that he was tapped on the shoulder to jump over the boards there is emblematic of the respect and the trust that the coaching staff is gaining in him.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. And you can see the confidence in his game as he continues to develop and plays with guys like Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler, and develops kind of that chemistry with that duo, and learns, like we talked about it. I mean, Mark Scheifele hit 600 points in his career into the fourth most points from the 2011 draft in Minneapolis as he was there. And I think it's one of those situations where, I mean, it's amazing to think that Mark Scheifele's already hit the 600 point club, but I mean, that's what you want from Cole Perfetti. That's the same sort of, doesn't exactly have the exact same skill set, but high intelligence player. And that's why you want Perfetti, I think, beside someone like Mark Scheifele, to learn from and to really develop his game, especially when Mark Scheifele is playing a better defensive game. That's something you definitely want to have Cole Perfetti get that influence from Mark Scheifele the whole game, not just half.
Here's a tweet before we get into the Betway game recap, courtesy Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press. We know the Jets are leading the Central Division now 17-7-1. With the win tonight, the Jets are also on top of the Western Conference based on points percentage. Number one in the Western Conference based on points percentage. They passed Vegas with tonight's victory, putting the Jets fourth overall in the NHL in points percentage. And I know
on the parade.
Well, I mean, you say it tongue in cheek, and I understand it because it's certainly too early to do that. But it is impressive. Whatever you want to say about this Jets team, a 17-7-1 record, and the best team in the Western Conference right now, based on points percentage, is impressive. No matter which way you want to cut it. Let's get into the Betway game recap. It's brought to you, of course, by our friends at Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world, and the proud title sponsor here of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront with a large selection of betting options and sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. Responsible playing is very important, both on the ice and when it comes to making some wagers. The Jets open the scoring at the 15:49 mark of the first period. It's Pierre-Luc Dubois, his 12th of the season, his first of the game. Assist to Mark Scheifele and Logan Stanley making his return to the lineup after he was out with that broken foot. I mean, to no one's surprise, it's Dubois standing right at the blue paint and doing what he does best, as he jamming in a rebound, causing some havoc, and being too difficult for the opposition defender to handle.
Yeah, what I think this was touched on the broadcast. I think what was most impressive about this goal was the way the Jets were moving the puck, and I think this was at the end of the shift for the Blues as well. But the way Scheifele was at the point, and then Morrissey and Stanley was on the left side, and then he switched over to the right side, and then the puck was put on net, and then Scheifele just put it on net, and Dubois just chopped at it. As you said, that's his office pretty much, right? So that was what was most impressive by me. The Blues were just running around, skating around actually in their own zone. But that was what stood out to me on that goal, that the Jets seemed like they had the puck for a good, 30 seconds or something like that. So they just got rewarded, I thought, for, a really good shift in the O-zone. And Dubois just continues his hot streak and seems like he gets on the board every single game. And that wasn't as nice as some of the other goals that we saw in the game, especially Kyle Connor's goal that we'll get into in a second here. But yeah, I just love the way that they were moving that puck, and especially from Logan Stanley. You didn't necessarily expect him to get on the score sheet that early, considering he hasn't played in a month. But yeah, that was just I think they were rewarded for all the hard work they did in the O-zone.
It was a bit of a weave. It was like a basketball weave, Dave, where all five guys are moving around and the Blues are trying to, communicate with one another as to who has who. And this is my guy. Now I have to switch off to this guy, but this guy I have to switch off to that guy. The Jets were just, a perpetual motion machine on this goal. It's fortuitous, no question. Stanley misses badly with his shot. It goes off the end boards, and Scheifele picks it up and goes around on the other side and finds Dubois. But motion is killer. It's killer for an opposition. It's hard on an opposition. It's taxing on an opposition to try and keep up with a team that's constantly in movement. We see it on the Jets power play goal as well that we'll get into, but that's a huge, a great goal in terms of the Jets doing the right things and making it difficult on the Blues to take the 1-0 lead. Yeah,
and at that point we weren't really sure what was that. It was kind of even. Again, like I said, the analytics I believe favored the Jets, in the first period, but St. Louis, it wasn't clear. It wasn't obvious based on the way the play was. And so you weren't certain. And yeah, you're right, Drew. That was where, as he said, how Dubois is just such a bear in front of that net. I mean, it really is. And that's what you need from him. That's what we've talked about forever, is to have a guy. Too many times the Jets are trying to go for that perfect goal instead of just having someone set up in front and strong like Pierre-Luc Dubois. When he's playing physical, when he's playing engaged like that, he's very difficult to kind of push off of his, push off physically. And so as a result, I mean, he's where he wants to be, which is right in front of Greiss and perfectly positioned to put home that Scheifele pass.
Yeah, exactly right. So it was 1-0 for the Jets after 20 minutes. And it didn't take the Jets long to make it 2-0. In fact, it took them 27 seconds in to the second period. And it's Kyle Connor getting his 11th of the year, assist to Mikey Eyssimont and Neil Pionk. Look, it's a pass up from Pionk, And for some reason, the Blues decided that two guys need to go on to Eyssimont and leave Kyle Connor all alone to come in with a lot of speed. And that's a very dangerous proposition, and it's a very scary proposition for any team and any goaltender. And Kyle Connor doesn't often miss in that instance, and he certainly didn't here Ezzy at all, making it 2-0 for the Jets.
Yeah, I like how you brought up the Blues' choice of covering two guys on Mikey Eyssimont there. I think that play, I don't think he necessarily thought it was Eyssimont. I'm talking about thought that was going to go in that exact spot to Kyle Connor, but it just worked out like that. And it was a really hard outlet pass by Neil Pionk, even if he doesn't get it, you know that it was going to get into the neutral zone. So it was a really impressive goal. And then obviously Kyle Connor does what Kyle Connor does, and he puts it where he needs to put it. But that was just a really impressive play by Eyssimont. But also, I think, the Blues made it a little bit easier by opening up some space there for Connor. So I think there's a lot of things that you like on that goal.
There certainly are. I mean, the Blues, to me, Dave, are just a team that is they're just a little discombobulated. They're out of sorts. Are they a good team? Well, they've won those 8 games in a row, so there's obviously some skill there. But for the most part, I mean, they've just been struggling this year.
Also, we should mention too, Drew, not that I'm taking anything away. Torrey Krug and Pavel Buchnevich are both out of the lineup, but you could counter that and say, Nick Ehlers is out of the lineup for the Jets. But right. I mean, they do have a couple key players, but you're right. They have been an enigma. We talked to Michael Trakos about that on Saturday, right? Like, It's very odd that you have a team win 3, lose 7, win 8, lose 6, win 3, lose, very inconsistent. It almost reminds you of the 2021-22 Jets.
You're not too far off, Ezzy, but you're absolutely right. It is worth mentioning that no Krug, no Buchnevich for the Blues today. But in that situation, you just have to have better awareness of who's on the ice. And with all due respect to Mikey Eyssimont, who's been terrific for the Jets this year, he's not the threat in that instance. There's no need for two guys to go at him. He's, first of all, he's outside of the Blues blue line, so it's not like he's in a scoring zone there, but you have two guys who converge on him, and he's just smart enough player to know, just put it into sort of soft ice, and Kyle Connor's going to likely win a foot race, which he does. I mean, it's just the awareness and the I know I sound like a cliche and a broken record, and the attention to detail just isn't where it needs to be for the Blues in that instance, and the Jets make them pay.
Well, the one thing Mikey Eyssimont does, and I tweeted this, and it's the truth, is, and you saw it with the Brayden Schenn hit, is he drives people crazy, and he does so many things that people don't necessarily notice after the fact. He's just a pest, and he gets in your head. And it's funny because, like I said, I tweeted it because it's the truth. He would rather guys try and kill him than think about scoring. So it's possible he did something that pissed someone off, and two guys were trying to knock the shit out of him. And you're right. It's a perfect little chip, and you get it up to Kyle Connor with speed. That's going to be a tough one. And Kyle Connor, talk about feeling it. I mean, he had two goals, one goal into an empty net in his first 14 games. Now he has 9 in his last 11. So, here's a guy who's really feeling good. Here's a guy who's back on pace for, 40 goals this season. And is, you can see the confidence, you can see it back, with Kyle Connor. I mean, his goal scorer, and once we talk about how he gets assists as well, but that was a goal scorer's goal, especially when that kind of time and space, he's finding the back of the net on that kind of opportunity.
Right. 2-0 for the Jets at that point in time. It takes them a little over 3.5 minutes later, 3 minutes and 31 seconds later to be exact, to make it 3-0. It's a power play goal. Blake Wheeler, his 8th of the year, assist to Mark Scheifele and Pierre-Luc Dubois. And again, we talk about the movement. We talk about the perpetual motion. I mean, Kyle Connor with doesn't get an assist on this one, but he's got a great shot here. And the puck goes across to Scheifele, and he gets his shot on net. And then Wheeler if you actually look at the goal again, there's a high degree of skill in what looks like a pretty simple just sort of batting in a loose puck rebound. It looks like Wheeler does it almost backhanded through his legs to make it 3-0 on this one. It's a really, there's a high degree of skill here from Wheeler. And he's just, again, the Jets aren't necessarily being fancy. They're putting a puck on a goalie, and they're getting a rebound, and they're winning those battles, and they make it 3-0 on this goal, Ezzy.
Yeah, and I really like Blake Wheeler's game tonight, and I think, we've said that a lot lately, but that line, I think, it's just amazing. It's almost like you feel that line has been together for the last 3 years or something like that, but it really has only been a portion of the season. And you're right. And, Blake Wheeler's more known for his passing ability, but I really liked Kyle Connor here. And, you're right. That is a real skilled hand-to-eye coordination, whatever you want to call it. It's just skill. It's athleticism. It's skill. It's a nice goal. And I mean, what else can we say about this power play, guys? Like, now you expect every time the Jets go out on the ice, they're going to score in the power play. And it was a couple of weeks ago, the Jets were really struggling. Maybe more like 3 weeks ago, the Jets were really struggling. But yeah, you just like the puck movement. You like the fact that, the Jets have lots of options. If Kyle Connor's not scoring, then, Dubois scoring or Perfetti scoring or Wheeler. Like, the first power play, you have to worry. Morrissey, like, it really is one of the most dangerous power plays in the league right now. And I really, don't want to be that much of a homer, but that, like, what is it in the last 7 or 8? I think they've scored a power play goal in the last 7 games, if I'm not mistaken. So, well, I mean, we all talk about earlier in the season when, you look at this and you say, well, why is the power play not working with all of the skill they have? And this is without Nikolai Ehlers, right? Well, let's remind ourselves, Ehlers is one of the most dangerous players, whether he's on the first power play or on the second power play unit. So right now, I think the Jets, I just see a really confident team. When they go out there in the power play, I think they expect to score. Or if they don't score, they expect that they're going to come close to scoring. So I just really like how direct they are and how they're shooting the puck a lot. And on this particular goal, yeah, I love that Wheeler goes to the net and makes a really nice hand-to-eye play.
Top 10 power play since November 21st. 29.6%. And I mean, we know the penalty kill has been one of the best attributes of the Jets all season long. Third exactly.
But like the guys, they had the 29th ranked penalty kill last season.
Mm-hmm.
They have the 3rd best penalty kill this season. And again, we're not talking a small sample size. You're 25 games into the season. That's large enough to suggest that's significant, because I mean, that's the difference between a win and a loss. I'm sorry. Like, when you're killing almost every penalty you're facing, and I think their penalty, I think it's 84% or something of that nature. I mean, that is significant when you have been able to kill momentum for your opponents and not allow them to gain anything in a hockey game, Ezzy. I mean, that's massive. And I'm not trying to continue to drive the Gus bus, but I really do think we saw it last year with the Manitoba Moose, and they had one of the top penalty kills in the AHL. David Gustafson's addition to the penalty kill for the Jets, and there's been other guys who have stepped up. And, obviously Adam Lowry and others, but you can't minimize.
I would say throw up Manalainen too.
Manalainen, yeah, I think he's been good. Yeah. And, even to be honest with you, even Wheeler was good on the PK today. Like, I think the team has stepped up and they are playing a much better penalty kill. And as a result, they've got the 3rd best penalty kill in the NHL. And I'm telling you right now, it's translating to wins for this team.
Well, look, you can go pretty far in the NHL with, a good power play, a good penalty kill, and top flight goaltending. You can go with those 3 things, never mind, the 5-on-5 play, which of course has been clicking pretty good for the Jets with the number of goals they've scored over the last, 6-7 games. You can go pretty far with just a few of those things. And the Jets seem to be having it all in spades as of late, and which, of course translates to a 17-7-1 record. There's no wonder that the record is where it is right now. For the Jets. And again, another victory tonight. We say good evening to everybody joining us. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. We're live on YouTube. We're live on all of our social media platforms talking about the Winnipeg Jets 5-2 victory over the St. Louis Blues. Another victory for the Jets.
What do you guys think of those? Sorry, Drew. What do you guys think of those reverse retro jerseys? I do not like those. And I like Blues, the classic Blues jerseys I've always liked. And I've liked some of the alternate jerseys they've had. What drives me crazy is that writing that goes over the musical note. I don't know if you guys noticed that, like the writing. Anyways, I don't like them.
I think it's almost like a little too light, the coloring. I like the idea, like the blue and the yellow are just almost
blinding. What are you talking about? It's like your retinas are shattered after.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a little too light. Like if it was a little bit darker, I think it would stand out a little bit more. It's just like they almost went a little too light with them. Would be my assessment.
Exactly. Of those. Spencer's got it right there. It looks like too much mustard on that jersey.
Yeah, that's fairly good.
Matthew Thompson felt it was like Finland versus Sweden.
Yeah,
there's some truth to that comment as well. I would agree with
I actually have to say I've liked a lot.
Speaking of Gustafson, right, Dave?
Yeah, exactly.
And Manalainen.
I would say that that I like seeing the Jets wear the reverse retro on the road, but I have to, and I think they said they're undefeated now, which I think was that their third game playing the reverse retro or fourth game.
Fourth.
Yeah, so they're doing pretty well in those reverse retros, and I don't think anyone is going to disagree with the Jets reverse retro. But yeah, those Blues ones are not one of the better ones. The Wild, phenomenal. Paying off
The Sharks too. The Sharks, California Golden Seals jerseys. I love them.
Yeah. I mean,
the Sharks are always good though. They always have great jerseys.
Well,
speaking of Sharks, speaking of Sharks, CJ Cease, the 2014 fifth rounder for the Winnipeg Jets, played his first game after signing with the Sharks in the summer.
Good for him. He wasn't going to play NHL games with the Jets, so it's nice that he's playing NHL games, right, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. Good kid.
3-0 for the Jets at that point in time.
And by the way, Drew, you didn't mention Mark Scheifele, 600-point club.
Oh, I
mentioned it.
You're the stat man. You're stat boy.
I mentioned it in the preamble.
Drew hit 600 points a long time ago. He's like already at 900.
Yeah, but the point is that no, look, I mean that's such a huge milestone. I mean, guys, he's got the fourth most points from that 2011 draft. As you know, who the top three are?
Oh boy,
little trivia.
Nugent Hopkins doesn't have 600 career points.
No.
He was number one, of course, that year. You're putting me on the spot. This was a long time ago, and it definitely was not Adam Larson who went fourth overall to the Devils, was it?
It was not Adam Larson.
So I just went 1, 4, and 7, and it's not Radek Faksa who went. What did he go? 9th overall or something like that? 11th overall. Just I'm drawing a blank here, Dave. Kucherov was second round that year.
Yeah. Goudreau.
Yeah.
And
Goudreau was fourth. Yeah. Wasn't Goudreau fourth round?
I don't remember where he went. You were there, Ezzy. You should remember.
Well, I mean, that's 11 years ago, Dave. That's a.
You don't remember 11 minutes ago, let alone 11 years ago.
Oh God, that was that was. Well, I remembered a few of the guys, but yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, but anyways, point is that Mark Scheifele hitting 600 in game 667. So impressive, just an impressive. Remember, I mean, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago that people were questioning the Jets move, going off the board to select Mark Scheifele, and boy, that one turned out pretty well for Winnipeg.
Okay, I just hockey DB'd it. Okay, so you guys are making fun of me here. I do feel a little bit bad because I'm good with the drafts usually. Johnny Gaudreau was a 4th round pick.
Well, Ez, you're great with draft stuff. Are you kidding? You're like
No, but I couldn't even. I forgot the Gaudreau and Kucherov. It's like back in the day. Remember guys with the Red Wings like Datsuk and Zetterberg. The Red Wings would find these guys like in the 7th and 8th rounds.
Yeah,
but the fact that Johnny Gaudreau was a 4th round pick is really absurd. Kucherov too, because these guys are like arguably future Hall of Famers, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Kucherov
for sure. Yeah,
is a no doubter.
Yeah, he's in right now already.
Post games alone, or make
same
it
thing with Victor Hedman, but yeah, that's just crazy to me. 4th out of, and the thing is, you remember guys back in 2011, that pick was criticized because Scheifele was projected to go, I think, later in the 1st round.
Oh, everyone thought it was going to be Couturier.
Couturier, that's the other guy. I was trying to remember who went 8th overall.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I don't know. Maybe I'm not getting enough sleep, but I'm.
As you're picking dimes off the side of the road. You're doing great. Don't worry.
3-0 for the Jets at this point in time. Late in the second period, that's when the Blues get on the board. Betway game recap here on the Illegal Curve post game show. Robert Thomas, his 6th of the year, assist to Tarasenko and Rosen. And as he mentioned, you can sort of see that Adam Lowry's stick gets in there, but he beats Connor Hellebuyck, between the blocker and the pad. You just can't give Robert Thomas that much time and space. Tarasenko goes around Logan Stanley. Logan Stanley does a pretty good job at keeping Tarasenko to the outside, forcing him around the net, but then nobody picks up Robert Thomas when he's sort of the trailer on the play, and you can see Lowry's a little bit in no man's land, and then Thomas is able to snipe it past or through Connor Hellebuyck in that instance to make it 3-1, and you felt the Blues are going to get a push here, Ezzy.
Yeah, and I thought when the Blues had that power play, not that long before that, I thought that was going to be a key turning point, because we talk about this all the time, right, guys? Like the 2-goal leads versus the 3 or 4 goal leads. You go up 3 goals, there's a big difference. If you can score a goal and cut the lead to 2, that gives you a lot of momentum, as Drew just mentioned, right, going into the 3rd period. And I have to give our good friend Kenny Weeb a lot of credit, because I put it out on Twitter. I said something along the lines of, how did Thomas squeeze that through? I don't know about you guys and everybody watching, or in the chat that was watching, but I originally thought Thomas went top corner, because Hellebuck was in good position right on the blocker side. So I was kind of like Thomas is a sniper, no doubt, even though he's known for, piling up more assists. But I was kind of thinking, like, how did he get that through? And then it wasn't top corner, it was blocker side lower or whatever, mid. And then, but Kenny Wiebe texted me and said, I think Lowry's tip, that was the reason why it changed direction. And Hellebuck's blocker was in position for where the shot should have been, not where it went after Lowry's stick deflected. So even though that was originally you watched that, and I agree with you, Logan Stanley was his coverage was fine there. Lowry's, all it takes is a little bit of Lowry's stick to get on that puck, changes a little bit of direction, and that's how it got through. So Kenny Wiebe, we have to give him credit on the forensic files for breaking that goal down. But you're right, Drew. I mean, it gave the Blues life, and they carried it into the third period. Like, I repeat what I said. The Blues were badly outplaying the Jets, and that to me is what good teams do that have great goaltending. I should not ever say good goaltending when it comes to Connor Hellebuck, because he's a genius when it comes to goaltending. But when you have a team that's like, what were the shots, guys, in the third period? I want to say it was like 12-3 at that point in the period, something like that. And, you go back, Dubois scores a goal that Thomas Greiss should have stopped, and the game's essentially over at that point. That's so deflating for a team that had all of the possession, all of the ozone time, and Hellebuck is making save after save, and then you go right back down, you go down the ice, and then you score a goal that shouldn't have been a goal. So give Dubois credit. That's a goal scorer's goal. But Greiss, as I think Kevin Sawyer mentioned on the broadcast, like, you just have to stop that.
You just have to stop it, because the Blues, to Ezzy's point, Dave, the Blues feel like they're about to get one to make it a 3-2 lead at this point in time, because they're all around the Jets. They're all around the Connor Hellebuck. They're all around the blue paint. They're the pucks are squeaking past posts. They are within inches of getting a goal that makes it a 1-goal game. And instead, Dubois on a harmless looking rush. This is not a scoring chance. Nothing about this screams goal coming for the Winnipeg Jets. And Greiss just can't let that in. I mean, he just can't let that goal in. It's just an absolute killer, and it ends the game. For all intents and purposes, it ends the game. I know the Blues did cut it back to being a 2-goal game. Josh Levo, his second of the season, assist to Ryan O'Reilly and Braden Shen. It's a great play by O'Reilly. He picks the pocket of Mark Scheifele in the neutral zone and just turns it right up the ice, and a beautiful pass from O'Reilly to Levo through Neil Pionk. But Dubois' goal can't go in because it changes the entire game. The Blues are scrambling to fight uphill. They're climbing the uphill. They're getting close. And instead, basically everything from the 7:39 mark on in that third period is basically garbage time, to the Winnipeg Jets' advantage because of that one bad goal when the Jets just aren't giving up. Not only the Jets not giving up bad goals, or not only is Connor Hellebuck not giving up bad goals, he's just not giving up that many goals in general.
Yeah,
the Jets
there's no question
that they get 3 goals, they're going to basically win a game.
Yeah, well, I mean, but they're not getting just 3, as I illustrated. They're getting 5 per game, right? So and
the Blues are giving up 4 goals plus every game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the goal. And sorry, Dave, it's your time to shine right here. But
it's all good, bro. I'm happy to share the spotlight.
To Drew's point about Thomas Greiss, his numbers have actually been significantly better than Jordan Binnington. Yeah, and I'll give Drew credit here because he has pointed this out many times over the years that we've done the show. Binnington, look at the year the Blues won the Cup in 2019. Binnington was phenomenal. Like, he just was. Like, he was great during the regular season because he was the 3rd string goalie, as Dave, you pointed out a couple years back or 3 years back.
No, he was the 4th string goalie.
Sorry, 4th, because it was Ville Husso.
Yeah, Ville Husso was injured when
Jake Allen
when he got the call up. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it was a Cinderella storybook type of year, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But since then, he has been very up and down, and it's easy for me to say that, but he really has, and his numbers this year are really bad. So it's just really surprising. You just can't have that type of goaltending on a night in, night out basis. It's just been too sporadic all year long.
Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Dieter. I met Dieter today as I delivered him his Heritage Classic jersey as a winner of the Illegal Curve contest. I got a few more deliveries tomorrow. Going to make some more next week. The Dave M delivery truck, it just doesn't stop, but I'll be seeing 2 more of our winners tomorrow, maybe more. We'll see. But shout out to Dieter. I met him and I was happy to to get a chance to give him his jersey. And
Yeah, you've got the swag bus. Sorry, you've got the Gus bus.
Yeah,
And you've got the
yeah,
swag
I've
bus.
got two buses. I got the Gus bus and the swag bus. I alternate between which ones I'm driving. But no, I mean, look, it's you're 100% right, Drew. I mean, that is a absolute backbreaker for a team, especially like you said, a team that's fighting it. And look, the difference in this game is Connor Hellebuyck. I mean, there's that one play I'm thinking of, and it was just before Dubois scored, which when like Hellebuyck's basically out of his net and he's like twisting and turning. It was like a Red Hot Chili Peppers song, you know, and maybe he looked a little bit like Gumby as he was trying to like be big and like not allow.
I remember having one of those as a kid. I loved it.
And not allowing the Blues to like try and deflect the goal in off of him from, you know, an awkward angle. So like Hellebuyck is like out of position, but he's still maintaining, like you can just see the effort is just there from him to like not allow a goal to maintain his lead for his team. And he just didn't look like he was giving one up. And as a result, you know, that's what ends up happening, right? And again, nothing can be more deflating in a hockey game than when you think you got all the momentum on your side and then the team goes the other way and they score and it just as you said at that point, it becomes garbage time. The Jets are not giving up a 4-1 lead. All jokes aside,
it's Monday, it's garbage day.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But it's not like that they're going to do what we saw against Carolina, we saw, you know, in previous games. You knew at 4-1, St. Louis is too fragile. They really are right now. They're not a team that feels good about themselves. I don't care if they've got a pedantic home record. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it's not very good. And again, they've been a very streaky team. And so you just knew that as soon as Dubois did that, that was the backbreaker. That was the old you know, the old finishing move in wrestling, Ezzy, because at that point the Blues
Stone Cold Stunner.
As my Baba would say, they're finished.
5-7, the Blues are on home ice. They dropped to 12 wins, 15 losses. They don't have a game go to overtime yet. Every one of their 27 games has ended in regulation.
So bizarre.
Or I guess actually I shouldn't say that for sure. Pardon me. They've won 3 games in overtime. They haven't lost anything in overtime. Sorry, I did my math a little bit too quick there. They haven't lost anything in overtime, which means they're not getting any loser points. And you know how important the loser points ultimately are for a team that wants to make it to the playoffs at the end of the season. The Blues struggling.
Hold on. Kenny makes a good point. Today's not Monday. It's Thursday.
No, I didn't. I know it's not. My garbage day is Monday.
Yeah, my garbage day is Monday.
So that's why I said Monday. But yes, it is Thursday. I mean, with the amount of Jets games and the post-game shows and the Saturday show that we have, like, you might just pick any day. Like, you could tell me it's Saturday right now, and I would believe you.
Well, it's not Saturday, but it is Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. We have another post-game show. And then Saturdays after that, and that's when we do the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, 9 a.m.
As Drew said, 4 shows over the nenext 4 days.
4 and 4.
Lots of us. You're going to get more of Dave, more of Drew, more of Ezzy.
4 and 4. That's what we're going to have. Cole Perfetti wraps up the scoring, makes it 5-2 the final. Into an empty net, his 5th of the year, assist to Wheeler, and Neil Pionk, and the Winnipeg Jets improved to 17 wins, 7 losses, 1 overtime loss, and in their first 25 games of the season with a 5-2 victory over the St. Louis Blues. The Jets tied for first in the Central Division by points, first in points percentage. The Dallas Stars winning in overtime against the Ottawa Senators. That game wrapping up a few minutes ago. Let's go to break. When we come back, the unique code word of the day, our Tough Duck hardest hitting comment, as he's going to find that for me. Much more to come. We'll talk about tomorrow's game against the Chicago Blackhawks as well. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg. It's a Thursday night. We're live. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show brought to you by Betway on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come on, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. Shortly before 10:30, welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mindell, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg with you. The post-game show brought to you, of course, by our friends at Betway. And we got another post-game show coming your way tomorrow night, right around 10:15 p.m. Central Time, give or take a few minutes. The Jets back in action, this time in Chicago, where the Blackhawks will undoubtedly be looking for a little bit of revenge after the Jets pumped them about, what would that be, about 10, 12 days ago. The Jets back in Chicago against the Blackhawks.
Well, they're probably going to get pumped again. So I hope that they're not expecting a different result, because they suck.
Sometimes
I told Dave this yesterday, Drew. I was like, the team I hate watching the Jets play the most this year, I would say, is the Blackhawks, because they just, aside from Patty Kane dangling a little bit out there and Johnny Taves, who's always fun to watch, and we know both of those guys could be traded anytime, basically. Like, they're just a bad hockey team.
Does anybody have any question if it's David Riddick tomorrow night? It's Riddick. I mean, there's no way they go with Hellebuyck back to back. I mean, especially after he had a pretty decent workload tonight.
Yeah, no, you got to go Riddick.
Yeah, I mean, you're not.
Big save day tomorrow.
That's right. It's
probably put a shooter in net. You'll still beat Chicago.
See,
now the question becomes, of course, you know what's going to happen with Saku Manalainen. It was funny. John Chan put the update from Rick Bowness, and it was like, upper body injury. Thanks, Rick. That was very insightful. That tells me something that we didn't have. The guy's sitting there hunched over, he barely use his arm.
Are you sure, Rick? I thought it might have been mid body. I wasn't
at that point,
it might have been an ankle.
His shoulder may have actually been towards his waist, so it could have been a mid body injury. But yeah, I mean, look, that I suspect what we'll see tomorrow. I don't think that they'll make a recall tomorrow. I could be wrong. I know that they did have some game time decisions in advance of the game. But of course, because they sent Toninato down in order to activate Logan Stanley, they and Toninato obviously went with the Moose out west. They left for Abbotsford today, where they practiced, and they'll be playing the Canucks tomorrow night.
Be coming back real soon.
Well, he could, or what? I mean, well, someone will most likely be coming back, but my suspicion would be, again, I could be wrong, but they may pull someone in for tomorrow. But I mean, it's quite a flight, right, to get him from Abbotsford to Chicago tomorrow. So, we'll have to see. But my suspicion would be, if they have to, I guess they could always go 11-7. And to be honest with you, like 11-7 may actually work, because I really like the idea that guys like
why not Sam Gagner?
Oh, that's true too. I mean, you could throw but I'm saying, like, but remember, there was game time decision.
Question,
so
I mean, is Sandberg banged up, or was he a healthy scratch? Because it sounds like he was more of it wasn't necessarily a healthy scratch. It sounds like it may have been more of a banged up situation for him.
Well, so exactly. So you've got Dylan DeMello, who's questionable, right? He played obviously, but he didn't skate this morning, and he seemed to be a game time decision. And then we don't know about Sandberg, but it would seem unlikely they were pulling him out to put Logan Stanley in for, like, they're healthy scratching him, but it's possible, but you never know. So I'm just saying that it's not certain what they're going to do. I mean, yeah, obviously Sam Gagner is going to go back in tomorrow night, but I'm saying that leaves them without a forward. And obviously if someone's banged up, that's why I'm saying you might have to go 11-7. But, ultimately, although a lot of people were, when they heard Logan Stanley was coming in, they said, just play him as a center, just play him as a forward, put that big body in front of the net. But anyways, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I suspect, I could be wrong, that they're not going to recall anyone for tomorrow. They may just wait and let the Moose play. I think the Moose play Friday, Saturday. Jets obviously don't play again until Sunday in Winnipeg against the Capitals. So maybe they allow those guys to play, kind of mix it up, because there's a lot of options, right? You've got, Kevin Stanley could get a recall. Jeff Malott could get a recall. Alex Limoges could get a recall. Like, there's a lot of, and obviously Dominic Toninato, who was just up with the Jets. And the reason why you may recall Toninato, people would be like, well, why would you recall one of the other guys? Well, the difference is that Toninato, now that he's cleared waivers, he's got that exemption again, right, for 30 days or 10 games. So there's more incentive to call him up versus a guy who is going to be forced to clear waivers and again, that's going to be somewhat based on what happens with Menelainen. We don't know what his status is. We don't know how significant the injury is. So that
didn't look good though, Dave.
No, I agree. I
don't, especially for tomorrow's game, right? Like, I don't know how long he's going to be out, as Drew says. Like,
oh no, I don't think. I mean,
we
tomorrow,
only play doctors on YouTube, right? But it just didn't look good. Like, I would give. Again, I don't want to give a Ginsburg guarantee here, because we know how those.
Wait, that's the opposite though.
Yeah, exactly. But I would be shocked if Menelainen plays tomorrow, based on the way he was, clutching his upper body.
But I will say the one thing I'm 100% in agreement with you. But the one thing I will say is it's amazing how many times you see a guy and you're like, well, I mean, even Wheeler. Remember Wheeler going in basically like neck first into the boards, like, well, he's dead. Like, there's nothing. And then Wheeler literally comes and he plays on the power play. Or it's like, if you remember the game in Dallas where Wheeler basically fell into an open gate, and you're like, oh, well, he's toast. He's not playing anymore.
NHL players play it with cracked ribs. Like, I would be in bed for 6 weeks, but hockey players, like, it's just, it's a couple cracked ribs. That's okay.
Yeah. So I again, like, I agree. It didn't look good, but it's one of those things. It's like, all of a sudden he's in the lineup and you're kind of like, oh, okay. I could see that happening, but I could also very easily see him not playing. So tomorrow you don't really need to push it against Chicago. You're like, that's one of those situations where you're like, why try? Like, just let him heal up and rest up. And then you let Sam Gagner get back into the lineup, and you're going to pump the Blackhawks, which it seems most likely.
Hardest hitting comment from tonight, courtesy of our friends at Tough Duck, Ezzy. Who's winning a toque to stay? Well, the weather's warming up, but it's going to get cold again. So who's winning a toque tonight?
Yeah, thank God it's warming up. It was brutal the last 2 or 3 days. We're going to give it to Leslie Michnik. Leslie is a frequent viewer. See Leslie in the chat a lot. We're going to give it to Leslie. Not their best game, but Vezina Buck was in fine form, and the Snipers sniped. Still a good win. And if the Sens hold on, which I believe they did.
No, they didn't. They lost in OT.
Oh, okay.
They were up late in the third, but
we're still going to give Leslie the Tough Duck too. But I mean, it doesn't matter at this point. I mean, the fact is the Jets are one of the top teams in the entire Western Conference, guys, right? So, I mean, that's what really matters, not whether they're first or second. So, Leslie, send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com, or slide into my DMs at ICSEG, and Tough Duck will ship out a toque to you.
There you go. Congratulations to Leslie, the winner of tonight's Tough Duck hardest hitting comment contest here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. We also have, of course, the Illegal Curve merchandise contest, and I'll give Dave M
Nobody
credit.
was getting this one.
Nobody doing this one is right. I had to ask him what it actually meant because I did not even know what the reference was. The unique code for the Illegal Curve contest. Remember, you go to the drop-down arrow on YouTube in the show description. You'll see the link to the contest page. You enter this word in the contest page.
Show me.
If you can't find the
Show
link,
me the word, Drew. Show me the word.
You the word. If you can't find the link on the YouTube page, it's on our website, illegalcurve.com. The word is St. Louis Bread Co. Now, I want to make sure for the people on the podcast, St. Louis is not ST period. It's SAINT. So the whole word Saint, then Lewis. Of course, you should know how to spell that.
Why didn't you just make it ST, Dave? Like, why did you spell it out like that?
Because that's not the right way, is he?
So
it's written
St.
like that.
Louis Bread Co. CO, no period. Now, Dave M.
St. Louis doesn't have good bread. No, somebody told us they don't have good pizza.
That's true.
We did talk about the pizza last time.
They don't have good pizza.
That's true. We were talking about that last time. Dave M., can you explain what the St. Louis Bread Co. is more commonly known as?
Thank you for asking me, Drew. I will explain it to the people in the chat. St. Louis Bread Co., as it's known in St. Louis, is known as Panera Bread everywhere else in North America. But in St. Louis, you call it St. Louis Bread Co. because that's where it's from. So
very educational, Dave.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I've taken some slack from you too, and maybe even some.
Lord knows the show isn't educational. So it's good that our unique code words are educational.
And a few too many people are guessing that unique code word before the show even begins. They're spelling it out. They know how many numbers there are, and they're in the chat before the game or during the game before the game. We're chit-chatting and. People weren't getting it. And I said, this one you're not going to get, folks. This one's a good one. This one's a good one.
I just can't believe you stumped Drew, considering this is the Midwest U.S., right? And Drew knows a lot more about the Midwest U.S. Well, that's not true. I mean,
I've never been.
You lived in the U.S. too. St. Louis. Actually, for your wedding, Drew, we caught a ball game in St. Louis, Cardinals game.
I know you guys did. I've never been to St. Louis.
It's a beautiful
city. I drove past St. Louis.
Yeah.
No, I've never.
I've
never been to St. Louis. So you guys, Dave M did his research. St. Louis Bread Co. is the unique code word for today's Illegal Curve merchandise contest. And the Illegal Curve merchandise contest winner from the previous game. Let's give a big, hearty round of applause to Rob Hutchison. Rob is the merchandise contest winner. His name was drawn using our magic proprietary algorithm and contest software that certainly isn't readily available online to anybody who's willing to pay to use it. Big congratulations.
Drew's being sarcastic for anybody who doesn't understand that. That was sarcasm.
I'm pretty sure people would be able to pick up on that one, Ezzy. I think they were.
Now, more importantly, you know how? By the way, you know what was Rob's winning pick? You know how Rob wins because it tells me usually when the winner comes up, it says, okay, this person retweeted, this person followed Ezzy, this person whatever, and it's random. It doesn't really make a difference. But Rob won, folks. Rob Mahoney is saying Rob Hutchinson is a good person, one of the better Robs.
Well, that's because it's a fellow Rob.
Yeah, so I understand. I mean, I have an affinity for all Davids, whatever. But the point, not Davis's though, but the point is Rob won because he left a comment on the Illegal Curve podcast, got himself 10 entry points, folks. And because of that, Rob won. He got those 10 entries were the reason why he springboard. Not my choice. I would actually give everyone who does that the winning a win for that, but that's not the reason why Rob won. Not by my choice.
And I mean, it was a hateful comment. I mean, he used lots of.
He said
called us all names, but
he said it's the worst podcast I've ever listened to.
Comment is a comment, right?
Yeah, I didn't care. I was like, oh, okay, give me something, Rob. So Rob gave us a comment, and as a result, Rob got the extra 10 points.
Let this be a lesson for everybody else. Not only should you be smashing the like button, following us on Twitter and Instagram.
Like Phyllis is telling everybody in the chat right now, Drew.
Yeah,
we're on TikTok, by the way, Drew. I don't know if you knew that.
I'm thankful that I didn't know that. In fact,
we only have a few followers, but if you're on TikTok,
it's new.
Follow us on TikTok at Illegal Curve, same as our Twitter, Instagram, everything like that. So we're gonna get going here. We're gonna put out a little TikTok-y content.
By the way, as an aside, it was. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Finish the. Okay, I will say though, it was funny because I was talking to Dieter today about his win, and I said, Dieter's crazy.
Drew, you're also on Truth Social, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. But I said, it's crazy because you're always in the chat, and we didn't get a chance to celebrate with you. He goes, it's like the first time I've missed watching your show. I love watching your show, and we love the Dieters here in the chat. Back, maybe he's wearing his Heritage Classic jersey. Tracy, she's going to have hers. I'm not going to tell you what she selected, but it's not the Heritage Classic.
We should have a tweet up for all the IC merchandise contest winners.
Well, we should have a tweet up, Ezzy.
Period.
For everyone. Period.
Yes.
We don't
not just winners.
Yeah.
On this show,
it doesn't have to be exclusive. We need to
because the reality is, as we love everybody who's participating in the contest.
True.
So the fact of the matter is,
it'd be a big party though.
Well, I mean, it would be a big party, but you know what? We like to party. So as a result, we should
party.
Yeah. So what we should do, hint, hint, boys, is maybe one of these away games, which is what we talked about last year, doing it at one of our sponsors and having everybody come down and chatting. It's similar to what we did at the the fishing, the ice fishing show that we did a month back. Speaking of ice fishing, by the way, if anybody wants to listen, I tweeted a link to Dustin Bufflin talking on a fishing podcast. Very minimal amount of hockey content. All he talked about was smoking Chris Pronger and how that basically made his career.
I want to know how you
I
found
will
it.
100% be listening to every second of that.
Yeah,
How did you find it?
Not done a lot of media.
No,
Yeah,
but
I want to
as
know
he
how you
that,
found
Dave.
it.
You know what, guys? First of all, you don't even want to know what I'm doing half the
Yeah,
time.
Dave
But
runs the internet
I will say, actually, no.
and the dark web.
Yeah. No, actually, it was very nice. Someone, actually, I'll find out who exactly. One of our followers on Instagram DM me, Dan. I don't know if Dan wants to be outed, but Dan sent me a message. And that's what I get a lot of times. A lot of people send me something, and that's how I get, I become aware of something. And so I went
Dave's
to this.
very avant-garde, Drew.
But I will say, honestly, I couldn't believe I was listening to Dustin Bufflin. I mean, obviously, he's talking about stuff he loves, and he's comfortable with the guy. They fish together. The guy's from Kenora, originally from Dryden, but he must be based out of Kenora.
Buff's talking fishing on a podcast. I mean, what else do you need to know? By the way,
No.
I bet just because you said that, there's going to be a bunch of people right now that are Googling that, Dave.
Well, they don't have to Google on it.
Buff doesn't do a lot of media.
He does none.
This might be the first media he's done since he decided to retire, right?
He's done.
And of course, it's a fishing podcast.
Well, as he's
Awesome.
done, he's done no hockey ones, which he was quick to point out. He said the Spitting Chicklets guys tried to get him to come on. I said, Bufflin,
He doesn't care about that, right?
No, but I said, why don't you come on? I
said
said,
about that.
Ezzy, we're a top 20 ranked podcast. I'm like, come on, forget about Spitting Chicklets. Maybe come on the Illegal Curve post-game show or the hockey show, or maybe we'll have a little Illegal Curve 3-on-1, maybe in the ice fishing shack that we're going to be doing a show from sometime in January or February. Hint, hint. But, anyways, regardless, it is funny to listen to. And I will say, I was shocked to hear him talk for almost an hour. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I did listen to parts of it. And it's crazy because Dustin Bufflin which how many years was he in Winnipeg? 7?
9?
7, 8, or 9 or something like that. Whatever he was here, I think cumulatively he probably spoke for an hour. And he spoke for an hour on this fishing podcast. So
as long as we stick together, we'll be all right.
So if anybody wants to listen to it, I tweeted a link on my IC Dave account. You can go check it out.
Is it not on? Is it on? It's not on illegalcurve.com?
No, and actually, Drew, I didn't want to call you out, but I'm like, you said it's on illegalcurve.com. There was no hockey content. It was hard for me to kind of justify putting it on the website.
I would still put it on.
I'd still put it. It's Jets content. People are going to listen. They want to hear from Buff. I'd put it on the.
Yeah,
I'd put it on the website.
Yeah.
People have spoken.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. People have spoken. I'm going to give it to you two. You guys are overruling. We call Ezzy the shadow editor of Illegal Curve, but you guys are overruling me. But I'm happy to be overruled. Content is content. The Jets are not going to have a pregame skate tomorrow, of course, because they're playing. They played today, so they won't do a morning skate.
And it's also timely because he used to play for Chicago, right?
Yes, good tie-in, Ez. Good tie-in as well.
I would post that. I think let's hear it in the chat. I think there are people that would love to hear that.
I will say though, the funniest part about it was the guy hosting was like, "Yeah, bud." kept calling Bufflin Bud. I was like, actually,
Spencer Sutton put that comment up. You know.
Well, anyways, if you want to hear it, I'll post it on a little site called illegalcurve.com. So you're not even have to search for my Twitter, my tweet from earlier this afternoon, 2:30 to be specific. But you can just watch on a little site called illegalcurve.com.
There you go.
Hatchet Harry's right. The code word is Dave is overruled.
Well, there you have
What's
it.
scarier, the name Hatchet Harry or that picture?
I don't know. I mean, a hatchet's a useful tool. I mean, as a guy who likes to make as a guy who likes to make fire, as he.
Thanks for watching Hatchet Harry, but I might be locking my doors a little bit.
Yeah, Hatchet Harry's got his eyes on you
later tonight.
We have to do this all again in about less than 24 hours, boys.
So
we'll wrap it
Hatchet,
up.
Drew.
We'll wrap it up there and say a big thank you to everybody who joined us this evening in the chat to discuss the Winnipeg Jets 5-2 victory over the St. Louis Blues. And a big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, who make the website, who make the Saturday show a possibility. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway. They're the official sponsor of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Tough Duck, they sponsor the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve hockey.
Stop everything. Okay, I apologize. I apologize to Hatchet Harry. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Hatchet Harry, hold on. I don't want beef. Here. Hatchet Harry, I have seen Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels because I remember that movie came out, I want to say, about 20 years ago. My dad was a big fan. That's a Guy Ritchie film.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Same director as Snatch. I think he was the Madonna's lover at one point.
Husband.
Yeah, well, if you're a husband, you're a lover, Drew.
Yeah, usually.
They made love, passionate love. So I have seen Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. So I did forget about that. So that's a huge... Yeah, that is Hatchet Harry from Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
By the way, I will say
that's my bad.
Snatch is one of the best movies of all time. Just want to get that in there.
And
I have to say, anytime
Rock and Rolla was also pretty good.
The Germans are coming. The Germans are coming.
And I have to say, anytime Ezzy's using the phrase "passionate love," that means it's time for us to end the show. So on that note,
let's do. I want to talk. Let's do some more lines from Snatch.
Hold on. Did you want to quickly talk about the vasectomy I booked today?
No, that's a Saturday topic.
That is a Saturday topic. Drew Ezzy's already got a half an hour.
That's at least 10 minutes.
Yeah, there's no question about it. We're gonna have. I think we have a reporter coming live on location when that happens. It's going to be in-depth analysis.
More importantly, folks, everyone, illegalcurve.com, your place to be tomorrow. But it is going to be a busy Friday. We've got Jets, we've got Moose, we've got Ice, and it's a teddy bear toss for the Ice. So a lot of fun here in Winnipeg with them. But
we're actually just going to throw Drew on the ice.
It's gonna be a busy little Friday, and let's keep it rolling on a little site called illegalcurve.com, which everyone can follow me to after.
There you go. Go check it out. All the latest Jets news and audio available on illegalcurve.com. We'll be back tomorrow evening right around 10:15 p.m. for the second of 4 straight days of Illegal Curve after the Jets and the Blackhawks game. We'll see everybody back there.
Drew? I know you like Dags.
Tomorrow
all I got to do is like the Snatch movie is in my head. Like I want to go watch it. It's so good.
Watch it. Let me finish wrap up the show. You guys can go do whatever the hell you want. Just leave me alone.
We're all proper effed.
Dave M's in the top right, Ezra Ginsburg in the bottom middle. I'm your host, Drew Mandel. May God have mercy on my soul. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night for the Illegal Curve postgame show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow @Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.